What did Jesus come here to teach us?
I mean, talk about someone who came to teach us everything that we've just been talking about. If there was a teacher on sovereignty, it was Jesus. Because he embodied, and we talk about a lot in the Sophia Code, what we call Sophia Christ consciousness, and that's the consciousness he always taught: be in this world, but not of this world. Whatever you call God or source or spirit, when you have you have your direct connection to that source, you can download solutions, healing, light, intelligence, anything.
It's all available in the field, right?
Yes, it's all there.
An energetic match. Just tune your frequency.
Absolutely. And so, although it does seem to refer to a religion, there's a whole unity source movement that has taken the word Christ back from different dogmatic uses in religion to represent, like, this is how Jesus walked the earth. How did he perform these miracles? How did he reach so many lives? Why are we still talking about him to this day? His heart was so big. Like, what is he embodying for us? We have hearts just like his heart, and we need to be using them.
When you say heart, you mean energy.
I mean the feeling and the energy and the stargate that the heart chakra is, which is also what I'm writing about this year in my journey. Mother Mary Speaks. It's the heart is a stargate for the soul. So if you are a walking stargate and you are checked out of your body, you're not accessing your heart, you're not accessing your true power to not just change the world, literally transform the world. Yeah. Birth something totally new. It's where what source wants to deliver into this world, it's where it lands at the very center of your being, so it can radiate out and impact, every part of you. How you ground to the earth, how you open up to the brilliance of your soul.
Yeah. What about the relationship that Jesus had with Mary Magdalene, and getting into like the alchemical, not only the divine masculine feminine union, but then the alchemical marriage within the self?
I know that for a lot of your audience, it's not any new knowledge that, Jesus was trained in India and Tibet by extreme masters, masters of the highest order. But so was Mary Magdalene, and we talk about that in the Sophia Code. She came from an extraordinary family, probably one of the richest families in Palestine at that time. And her mother had a secret divine feminine practice. And her father had a secret mystery school network. This woman, Mary Magdalene, is, which, they wrote total lies about her in the traditional Bible. A composite of multiple Marys that they lied about. And so when we meet Mary Magdalene in the Sophia Code, we meet this brilliant, psychic, young woman that was trained as a high priestess in Egypt, as well as India and Mesopotamia, temples that, were still operating at that time. Her connection to Isis, her connection to Sekhmet, her connection to Kali, profound. So, when she finally met Jesus, her spiritual mother was already Mother Mary. So Mother Mary was already mentoring her for a public ministry that, women at the time could be stoned to death for speaking out loud teachings. And so I get really excited talking about their ministry because it's so special what they did. And it reads like a movie in the Sophia Code, and watching it and channeling it and writing it down was one of the greatest honors of my life. But, what they don't write about those fields is that Jesus was teaching, and it was those were the fields that Mary Magdalene spent her divine her inheritance on to ensure Jesus could actually be teaching publicly in that way to thousands of people. And
she taught him things,
meaning she would pay for for creating those experiences where people could actually show up and meet. Thousands of people
really?
were meeting.
She was like
yes.
she booked events.
she kind of produced events. Yeah, that's a really great way to put it. She was given her inheritance, whether she chose to marry or not. Like, her parents were absolutely from the future, in the sense of they were so non-traditional, and they so understood who she was in her own right as an avatar and Christed being. And so
they let her be strong in her sovereignty of what she really was.
And she still had to use her mystery school training to hide that, right? Because at this time, so it was this interesting dynamic where she was so empowered at home and in her mystery school at Mount Carmel, but then she would have to go into public with Jesus, right? And so she would be teaching side by side with him. They'd both be in full lotus. You think about these masters, these yogi masters. Yes.
Like on
stage? Yes, in the Sophia Code. They're sitting side by side in full lotus position, and they're both performing exorcisms on the masses side by side. And what Jesus would do, and we talk about this in Sophia Code, he would expand his consciousness so that the men and women who would judge her for being in her full yogic power would actually protect her so that they could accept and receive her transmission as a master in her own right. Her gifts and skills were so extraordinary, and we call her she of 1,000 angels in the Sophia Code. She would go forth and send angels ahead of Jesus and her arrival to these fields to clear the demonic influences. She was doing shamanic.
Wow. And then he would like set the field.
They were constantly.
He would he would expand his energy bubble essentially to protect her while she was doing her thing. But before they got there, she would send the angels to clear the space from evil demonic energies that would interfere with the work.
I mean, they were doing high priest and high priestess work of the highest magi order, the highest order. So when people, not all, but a lot of people talk lightly about Mary Magdalene's path with Tantra, with Jesus, and I'm just like, you have no idea the level of magic, the level of training and mastery, and how they were consciously working together as masters of light for thousands of people to be transformed from the Luciferian grip of their day. Like, they were so selfless, they were so loving, they were so intelligent, they were so creative, they were so psychic. It was so far beyond like, this is my boyfriend, Jesus. You know what I mean? It was like, are you kidding me? Like,
everybody sit down and close your eyes.
Yeah. I'm like, they were leading a movement that was saving the planet. Jesus. I mean, people, you would walk.
Jesus,
literally, like, imagine walking down the street and just have the streets lined with people being crucified. I mean, that was the form of Roman punishment of the day. It wasn't reserved for someone like Jesus. It was just everywhere. Wherever they lived, you would see people strung up on crosses. So like we have this idea that it was like a once in a while thing. And it was like, this is the kind of extreme torture the Roman Empire was using to oppress, the different countries that they would take over. And so the Jewish people were living under such extreme tyrannical conditions, not to mention that they already had extreme conditions at the time for women being in their power, so it's like women were property. And if a woman did anything out of line, out of the Pharisee codes, it was just like they could literally be stoned to death at any point. So the fact that Mary Magdalene and Jesus were using what is high-level Tantra? High-level Tantra, I mean, can it be experienced through sexual union? Absolutely. But the sexual union is not the definition of Tantra. Tantra is when we experience total communion with all that is, total communion with the earth, total communion with your divinity, total communion with every cell of your body, total God communion, source communion, universal communion. You have two individuals that are embodying total communion and presence, and then within the relationship with one another, they are doing such extraordinary things with their human bodies. It destroys any concept that we have of what Tantra is in whatever we think our modern context is. And the reason why I speak so passionately about it is because I feel strange even talking about it out loud, because what they were doing was so holy, brings tears to my eyes. Like, it's so pure. Like, it is the definition of what Isis talks about in the Sophia Code about, your sexuality being a pathway to recognizing your true divinity. We're not talking about you feeling better about your self-esteem or like you're, having an ego lift. We're talking about God communion, and what are you going to do with that God communion in your sexuality, in your divine purpose, in your creativity, in your service to the light, in your service to humanity's awakening to its sovereignty. That is the Tantra of full beingness.
If you like this clip and you want to hear the whole episode, click at the bottom of your screen.